Hey, what's up guys? Tony here from BooST Aspirations, and I'm bringing you another sort of unconventional video. This is going to be another big turbo update. And like the one I did before, this is going to be something where I didn't really feel like setting up a camera. I've got a lot of moving boxes around me, so it's not really going to work. But I just figured I'd give you something interesting to look at and watch while I talk about the big turbo. So first time I did this, it was Gran Turismo Sport. I think most of you guys knew that. This is rFactor 2. So in last week's video, we actually got the car put back together and everything looked to be going really well. And then if you follow us on Instagram, then you know that things didn't go so well. And I definitely advise you guys, if you guys are following the project or if you like following us on YouTube, definitely take a look at Instagram and follow us there, because we do post very regularly there. You know, during the week, whatever we're doing, but a lot of it, you know, if we post stuff up, usually when we're making a video, we'll post stuff up on Instagram. We'll stream live on Instagram as well. And so it's always a good way to sort of see what we're up to. So anyways, what happened is put the car back together. I drove home, just kind of gingerly drove home. I gave it a little bit of throttle here and there and nothing crazy. And I posted a picture as well because I got like 29 pounds of boost. I was like, holy crap, that's not supposed to happen. But there was a little bit of history to that back when, before I knew that I had a real serious wastegate issue. I had sent Brian, my tuner, an email. I was like, hey, I'm getting like 2 pounds of boost. What the hell's going on? And he was like, it's a boost leak for sure. Definitely a boost leak. And so he's like, well, let me, you know, I did a data log and I sent it to him, and he sent me a revised tune. And he's like, well, this should help with the low boost. And it didn't, because obviously the wastegate was wide open and it was going out the exhaust, but I left that tune on, and so I was getting like 29 pounds. Like, what the hell's going on? So he was pretty certain that we had actually put the vacuum lines backwards and everything like that. And so I was really sort of like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to double check this over the next weekend, because I mean, really, that's kind of the only time I really get a chance to work on my cars, on the weekends. So he wanted me to do a data log and check the wastegate duty cycle actual. So I did that. I was getting on third gear. It was about 24, 2500 RPMs or something like that. And I start to get into it, sort of ease into the throttle, and all of a sudden, out of bam! I heard a pop, and it was like metallic, like, and I had a million thoughts running through my head. I was like, oh my god, I broke my car. And it was like a day before I saw the picture of the dude who blew up his entire intake manifold. And it was such a loud explosion. Well, pop. I won't call it an explosion, but it was a loud pop and metallic sounding. And like in a split second, I had like 3 or 4 things going on in my head. I'm like, you know, I blew up the intake manifold. I popped the motor. Something happened, you know, but I was doing about, I don't know, at that point I was still cruising about 40 miles an hour, and the car wasn't shuddering or shaking, and everything was fine. And I was like, okay, so what just happened? And then I heard the boost leak, you know, it's like, and I was like, oh my god, okay. So in my head, I'm like, you know what I did is I blew out the hot side charge pipe on the intercooler side, because I have the FS works. Wow, I don't know why I can never say that. FS. I won't, because I want like FX, you know, like FS works intercooler, and the intercooler coupler has a reducing pipe that goes to the factory charge pipe, and I was sure shit I blew that out, and that was what banged against the support frame for the radiator. That's exactly what I thought happened. So I got home, and I was actually going home for lunch, and so I got home and I was checking it out, and I'm like, oh, I think that's what happened. I could just kind of feel, I could actually feel the reducing pipe, because they're usually like together. The hoses, the coupler and the charge pipe are usually together, so you can't really feel the hose, but it was kind of separated. So I was like, okay, that's definitely going to be the problem. And so then I think it was a couple days later, actually probably about a day later, I was under the car looking around, and I was looking at the charge pipe. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not it. Like, this is pretty secure. What else could have come off? And sure enough, what happened is the turbo had blown off the charge pipe right off the turbo, and it was like barely hanging on. So then I thought about it some more. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, that's it right there. That does it. And then I needed to go and plan, you know, the repair. I just didn't really have time during the week, so I did it on Saturday. And basically what I discovered is that the factory charge pipe when it was blown off, it was just hanging, just kind of basically touching the very, very back of the turbo. And what I noticed is that it doesn't extend. Like if it's bolted up tightly to the car like it should be, it's about 2 inches too short. So when you're putting that on the turbo, you actually really have to stretch the rubber, like pull it up tight, put it on the turbo, and then you have these two forces that are fighting. I mean, you've got the hose clamp, which is trying to keep it down, but you also have the rubber, which is wanting to pull itself off the turbo anyways. And on top of that, you've got BooST, and so it was a recipe for disaster. And then what I also discovered is that when it blew off the charge pipe, it tore off the vacuum fitting that went to it's a T connector, and then to the hot side charge pipe. So Saturday I went out and bought new hose clamps. I bought a new vacuum hose, a couple of little clamps, just everything pretty much to fix it. So the clamp they give you, or excuse me, the hose they give you in the kit that I have, it's very short. And so I actually had one cut. It was a foot long, but then I cut it down to, I think it was about 4 inches or something like that. I had to trim it down after I got on the car because the hose was going to rub on the axle. But I fixed that part, put the new hose clamps on that, and then I set about fixing the charge pipe. And so what I discovered is, because to actually get the charge pipe back on the car, I had to loosen everything. So to get the charge pipe actually back on the car, I actually had to loosen everything up. So there's the one nut and then the other bolt on the back and the front of the engine. And so I took that off and reset the charge pipe, tightened it down with the new hose clamp, and everything was good. And then when I was going back to put everything together, I realized, that's when I realized how short the pipe was and how really had to be creative. So I just actually bolted the front side up and I left the back side it's not hanging, it's secure, but it's not on the actual stud, so it's just sitting there. And so far, I've been driving around the last few days, and so Sunday, Monday now. So far everything is going so well. I mean, I've given it some throttle. I've been a real big wimp about it because I don't think I could take another setback with this project. You guys who've been following this project, you'll know that there's been tons of setbacks, so I just don't think I can handle it. It's kind of funny because my older brother came down. He's got an ST, but he also his baby is his 2013 Mustang GT, and he's itching to race the big turbo ST against his Mustang. And so he was helping me out on Saturday, and he asked me straight up, he goes, if you had to do it all over again right now, would you do it again? And I was in elbow deep in fixing my car again, and I said, you know what, honestly, at this moment, if I were to go back and do it all over again, I would not do it again. So as it stands right now, I'm pretty jaded. I definitely wouldn't go back and do it again. I'd pretty much just keep the stock freaking turbo on the car. But who knows? What O'Brien said is, which is true, is like, you say stuff like that now, but when you're getting 26, 27, 28 pounds of boost and you're smiling, ear to ear, you'll probably think twice. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. What I can tell you is that the car definitely has a lot more pull to it. I don't really know what was going on with that guy Bruce's car. When we drove it, it didn't really have the pull that my car has. I don't know if it was the tune, because I know he was on a base tune, or I don't know if maybe there's something with the wastegate that maybe he adjusted or maybe didn't adjust. But my car on the base tune, which is only about 15 pounds, it's about 15 and a half pounds. It should be under 16. It does pull pretty good, and like when you start to feel it building boost, it's like, oh, here we go. And then when you do get on it and you are wide open, you can feel the car wants more. You can feel there's more in it, but it's not there just yet. So it's a really thrilling experience. But right now in the back of my head, what I've got going on is like, I've got a blown charge pipe off the car, and I'm like, it's just all the setbacks. So, it's always in the back of my mind. So basically what I have to do now is I have to kind of man up, and just ride or die kind of a situation. I don't want to be rolling on the base tune forever, because it's bad for the car. I want to get it dialed into my car. But at the same time, you know, I'm like trying not to pop the car. So, you know, it's like one of those kind of in my own head right now. And I was talking to my wife about it a couple of days ago, or actually it was last night. And she's like, you know, if your car is causing you this much stress, then maybe you shouldn't do it. And I was just like, you know what? I need to not stress so much. You know, the car is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be stressful. So I don't want to say breaking the car is part of the fun. Definitely not the case. But I need to sort of dial it back and remember this is going to be a lot of fun. You know, have confidence. Like I have confidence in Brian's tuning abilities. You know, I do have confidence in my ability to work on a car and do a quality job. So, you know, it's just confidence is a little shook at this point. So anyways, the plan is, like it was last weekend, is to data log this week. And so I'll probably get out, I don't know, sometime this week, run my 3 logs, send them to Brian, and hopefully have a car that's reliable and get some power in it and get and get smiles on my face. So I think next weekend we're actually thinking about working on the SVT. I know there's a lot of you guys who actually want to see us work on that car again, and we definitely want to work on it again. So we still need to get the dash out, and we need to start pulling the motor. And so that's kind of it. You guys have any questions or anything regarding the big turbo, let me know. Also hit up the playlist. You'll see it all there, good, bad, and the ugly. I think that's kind of one thing that people have commented or told us about either through Instagram or through the comment section in these videos, is that they kind of appreciate that we are having these hardships because it gives people things to look out for. You know, if our turbo install was like easy and no problems at all, you know, I just think it'd be another install. So it's kind of cool that, you know, people are finding some value in the fact that we've been having these setbacks, and so people can see what they've got ahead of them when they're going to be installing it. So we do appreciate, you know, those, you know, kind thoughts and that feedback. So if you like this video, please give it a like and a thumbs up and all that good stuff. If you guys like what you see here and you want to subscribe, just know it's not going to always be gaming stuff. This is just kind of a rarity. It's mostly the stuff that we're posting regularly. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And we shall see you guys in the next video.
The lap was a 1:32.15. The lap was a 1:32.03.